That was a good start, John. Oh, mute yourself.
You just can't get the presenters, can you?
Christ.
Did everyone just miss all that then?
Everything.
We did.
No intro music, nothing.
You're going to tell us it was word perfect now, aren't you?
Start again. Start again.
Oh, right. Pretend, everybody, this is now live, but pretend none of that happened. Take 2. It's Sunday, the 16th of October, 2022. In this evening's show, we discuss 4 red cards, 6 goals, a 2-goal deficit overturned, a missed penalty, a mass brawl, a referee as bent as a Uri Geller spoon. And I'm John Aspinall again, and this is the Seaside's podcast match reaction show. Sheffield United 3, Blackpool 3, otherwise known as the Battle of Bramall Lane.
Well, it's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Seamless, that, John.
As Andy Grice has just put Aspinall out. But this won't be making the audio cut, so nothing went wrong on that first intro. Seamless, as Mitch has just said. Steve H, I don't know why you're putting turn on the mic, John. I don't know what you're on about. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Seaside's podcast match reaction show. We've got Leanne, Mitch, and Sir Kenneth's bagman. Please explain, Tim. Is that a dig at Leanne?
Actually, it's rather fortuitous you mentioned bent spoons because I've got a spoon here, and I'm going to call a port of order. I want everybody to raise their glasses to one of the best games of football that you're ever likely to see. So everybody out there in the audience, wherever you are, raise your glass, whatever you've got. What a great game of football. Cheers. That's what it's all about.
I'm on H2O this evening.
Oh, that's no use, is it?
Mm-hmm. I have actually got some cans of Seaside's ale in the fridge downstairs, kindly provided to us by the good people at Farmyard Brewery. Beautiful stuff it is, but had a few too many last night, so I'm just on the water. Welcome anyway. Welcome back, Leanne. You're on a 4G hotspot this evening, so let's hope you don't break up. You're looking a bit jerky. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm just scared of pulling a weird face and it freezing and I end up
That's called Botox, isn't it?
No, that would be fillers and I don't have fillers.
Ray, evening. See, Tim and Leanne have done their hair for tonight's pod. Mitch, have you done yours?
I washed my hair today.
Yeah, I've done my hair and my Botox for tonight.
Do you Botox?
No, you name it, I've had it done.
Seaside's podcast this evening sponsored by Botox as well as Farmyard Ale. Anyway, let's get on with the show, shall we? We've got an absolute shit ton to talk about. Sheffield United 3, Blackpool 3. First thing I noticed, how good did the away kit look with those tangerine socks?
Superb, actually.
Yeah,
I think the more tangerine you get in an away kit, the better. I was always quite disappointed when we lost the white, the reverse effective of the white top. But I've got to say that did look really, really good. Vast improvement. I like that kit anyway, to be fair. I think there's a away kit to go. If it's not white, it's as good as it gets.
And also, Mitch, did you notice the taking of the knee? I think one of our players refused to take the knee or just chose not to. If anyone don't even notice that from the game.
Well, I didn't notice it, but let's not get bogged down in all the details, shall we?
I think it was a player that was
I
very
missed that.
close
Was
to
it
your
Nadine
heart.
then?
I think it was. Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I didn't see
Well,
that.
I was laughing at that.
I'm sure it was just Gary's statement about not getting drawn into the kind of divisive politics that splits us all up in this day and age. Either that or he's growing so dicey that he can't get down and back up again.
The Armfield Club says, "Who's the blonde?" I think that's aimed at you, Leon.
Tim, isn't it? Tim looked blonder than me tonight, and he was doing.
I've had my highlights done. It's grey, actually. It looks blonde, but it's grey.
Who's on for the Armfield?
I suspect it's Raggy.
Yeah, it probably is, actually.
Hazarding a guess.
Right, shall we get going with the game then? Tim, you went. Mitch, you went. Tim, pre-match atmosphere. What was it like? Was it as good as last time?
Yeah, it was. I don't think we didn't take as many as we did last time. I decided to drive this one, so we did the old Woodhead Pass jobby, and I would say I don't think for quite a long time I've actually gone to Sheffield city centre, and it sort of reminds me of Manchester probably about 10 years ago. It's like real good vibe about it, and there's quite a lot of Blackpool fans knocking around a few of the pubs, and so we had a couple. Well, I wasn't drinking much. Obviously, we're driving, but we had a couple of beers around the pubs, and really, I was really, really impressed. To be fair, and what's also great about Bramall Lane, which is the sort of antithesis of a lot of stadiums these days, is it's so close to the city centre. It's literally like 10 minutes walk out of the centre of the town, which is a refreshing change from the usual schlep to some soulless industrial estate somewhere about 20 minutes, 30 minutes out of the centre. So that was great. And I think it's got a bit of heritage, to be fair, hasn't it? Bramall Lane as well. It's sort of been there a long time. It's one of the oldest football grounds in the country. So
first game ever under floodlights, I believe, as well. Yeah,
I was watching there's a couple of podcasters there for this game, wasn't there? And I was watching them this afternoon when I was a bit bored. And to be fair, I noticed that there was one of the guys, who was at Reading with us and at Fulham, and they had all the placards out, didn't they? Like the first competitive game was at Bramall Lane in 1863 or something. So there is a lot of heritage there, and we'll come to their fans in a bit, but it's an impressive stadium and a traditional stadium rather than the identikit shit you quite often get at some of these places these days.
Yeah. I intended to go straight after my kids' game because it would have been a bit of a rush to get there, but there was no pay on the gate. Mitch, you obviously went. No pay on the gate. It's fucking stupid. I don't know why clubs do it.
Yeah. Well, I only assume they do it so that they've got, they don't have to pay any extra for stewarding, and if people don't turn up, then that stewarding is a cost. But those costs are so small. What's a steward on an hour? A tenner or something, or 11, 12 quid. 10, 15 extra stewards compared to the what fans would bring in, and it's crap. And I think it's something that actually what's the big group that's like the big blanket supporters trust?
The FSA.
So.
Yeah, some of the FSA should be picking up on, because it's making it more and more and more of like a contract going to football. Going to football is becoming more of like a bureaucratic contract than it ever has been, where you just used to turn up and give a man a £10 note and he pressed a pedal and let you in the ground. And now it's like you've got to go on a website for 10 minutes and pay a booking fee and doing it in advance. And it needs sorting out, that.
Booking
particularly, I mean, that away end holds 2,500, and I'm guessing that was 1,500 of us there. So why wouldn't you want walk-ups? Because there might be people. We do have a lot of Exile fans, don't we? And it's a ball ache. You can't. It's not like us where we can just wander down to the club shop and get one. If you live remotely, you've got to order it at least 4 or 5 days in advance to make sure you're going to get your ticket. And
sometimes you can have train strikes, you can have a sudden change of day of the game, fixture date, Sky getting involved. So it's fucking bonkers.
Well, I was in that boat on last Wednesday, because I went to Sunderland and I actually ended up getting a ticket off someone. But I went to Sunderland and I literally didn't know if I was going to be able to go to Sunderland. It was based on whether I was going to be able to get out of work or not. And I literally didn't know I was going to be able to get out of work until the time I got in my car and I drove out of work on time. So, it's stupid.
Yeah. So anyway, onto the game. Blackpool lined up as follows: Maxwell, Connolly, Ekpateta, Thornley, Thompson, Bridcut, Patino, Dougal, Lavery, Medine, and Yates. Leanne, Chris Maxwell, I believe you're a big fan.
I do like him. I just prefer Grimmy. He's got a stronger voice, though, hasn't he? He bosses them about more. I was peed off at first, but then he made up for it, didn't he? So, obviously I'd rather see Grimmy there, but someone did say on Twitter, we've got 2 class keepers, and that is right, we have. And it's great having 2 keepers both fighting for that number 1 spot.
Mitch, anything stood out for you on that Bridcut's debut, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was coming because he obviously made a difference when he came on. I think the thing that stood out for me was that Mr. Kenneth Dougal walked straight back in the team. I'd had a pint with Joe just before the game, Mr. Atherton, once of this parish, and we both said that we hope it doesn't go disastrously wrong because everybody will rage at Dougal and it'll all be his fault. So, actually the opposite has happened, I think, where Dougal's probably come out of the game with a lot of credit. So that was good. But I wasn't sure about going to 2 defensive midfielders, because we'd played really well with 2 attacking midfielders and 1 holding midfielder. But there we go. I was surprised to see Wright drop because I thought he's had 3 very good games since he's come into the side.
Tim MB's just said that. Thought Callum Wright played very well against Watford. So
Same, I did as well.
I was actually, in all honesty, I was actually quite surprised to see Sir Kenneth start. I did think that Wright would keep his shirt, to be fair. And whilst Mitch talks about Dougal playing defensive, the reality is in this slightly bizarre formation that Appleton's playing, he isn't a defensive midfielder. He's playing incredibly further forward than you'd ordinarily expect. I was quite surprised. I was pleased, but I was also felt a bit sorry for Wright because I don't actually think he did too much to be dropped. I didn't think he deserved it.
It's a fair point for Michael Preston there. 3 games in a week. Surely America's won as an the 2 winnable home games as well. So it's a fair point that Michael. And I keep telling you, Michael, get that surname changed. I'll fill in the deed poll form for you.
You just would, wouldn't you, if that was your surname?
Okay, Mitch, onto the game itself. Early disallowed goal for Sheffield United. I'll just turn that off. We don't need that screen on anymore, do we? Early goal disallowed for Sheffield United, but we started the game brightly, as we have seemed to do quite recently, quite regularly in this season. But we found ourselves 2 goals down in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we just seemed to concede twice. I don't think we were under great pressure. I mean, there was the disallowed goal. You just basically described it. The game kicked off. They scored a disallowed goal. We seem to have the majority of play and be playing quite well, and they just scored twice. And they were easy goals to concede, or easy goals for them to score. Each one had an element of calamity from us. I can't remember which way round it was, but certainly one of them, Tomo gave the ball away under no discernible pressure, and somebody, I can't remember who, somewhere in the move that led to one of the other goals, also gave the ball away under no discernible pressure. And to be honest, I'd given up after 20 minutes. I'd decided this is going to be 4-5-0. I don't know. I wasn't even angry. I was just kind of completely deflated. sat on the back of, you can't really sit down at an away game, but just sort of slumped on the back of the chair and had given up. And how wrong I was.
Do you know what I said whilst watching the game in a foreign territory country, obviously? I actually said, I'm glad I couldn't get a ticket now. So it's almost up there with my... I think Jerry Yates should have been dropped for this game at the previous game.
Exactly. What I will say is, and this isn't, when we talk about having foresight, when we went 1-0 down, I bet 20 quid on us winning because I did it last year and I'd done all right. So I thought I'm doing it again. We went 1-0 down. I put another tenner on, and
what were the odds?
10-1 then, and I didn't do it at 2. I went 2-0 down, to be fair, but. I think, as Mitch says, whilst we conceded some appalling goals, I thought Thompson's pass, or you can't even call it a pass, for the first one was shocking. He just basically gave it back to them. They crossed the ball and scored. But we had actually started quite well, I thought. We looked comfortable. We were in the game, and we got to it almost. It seemed to be when they got down the channels. When they got down the channels, we didn't seem to be able to deal with it. And I think the first goal came in from their left side, our right, and we didn't seem to have anybody there. And then Thompson gives it away, and it comes down the left. And then there's another come in, and I thought, Jesus Christ! I was actually thinking, how are we 2-0 down in this game, because we don't deserve it. And so I doubled my bet when we were 1-0 down, which I think is the first time I've ever done that. And I did feel that we were harshly done by, and I think a couple of people at 2-0 retreated to the bars only to be slightly disappointed because they were shut until half time. But it was deflating to go 2-0 down, I've got to say.
Yeah,
because then you are thinking, what the friggin' hell am I doing? Having travelled 2.5 hours to come over here, and you're spending your money and and investing in the day. And after 20 minutes, it looked like it was dead and buried.
Leon, they were extremely soft goals to concede, both of them, all of our own doing, and 2 of our own players at fault, and Thompson and possibly Maxwell for the second.
As Tim said, I did think the same, but I actually thought we were playing really well. So they were very soft goals. But I did think we'd pull it back. I don't normally, but I just had a feeling, because I feel like it was rubbish. I know what you're saying, Tim, and I do agree with that. But I just thought, no way, we're going to pull this back, because we seemed the better side. I couldn't believe they were top watching them. I've seen better teams. And I found them quite a dirty team, if I'm honest. They were like moaning about everything, always trying to kick off with the end proved that, didn't it? But I found that throughout. I thought, God, aren't they whinging? A lot of people making reference.
There's a lot of people making reference to the Burnley comeback with 2-0 down in that one as well.
I tell you what,
I think we're better. I think sometimes we play better though when we go 1-0 or 2-0 down. They've got a good spirit.
Thought it was. Sorry, Leanne. I keep thinking you finished them, but I thought it was karma for last year in a way, because last year they kind of played us off the pitch but just couldn't score, and we scored on a breakaway. And I kind of thought, well, they're going to score the goals they didn't score last year, and it's almost worse when you play well and concede goals, because you can just see the belief, drain from the team, and I'd totally given up. And in a strange way, it's quite nice when you give up at a game and you just sort of almost go, oh well, and stop caring. And
you can enjoy it a bit more, can't you?
Yeah, I'll just watch it then. I'm here now. I might as well watch it and just observe.
I don't think the players do, though. I feel like we've got a really good bunch at the moment. And to me, when we do go down, 1-0 down, usually, I feel like they just have a really good spirit and really good enthusiasm about them. So I know what you're saying there, Matt, because I agree. It's proper, it's like, oh, for God's sake. how many we're going to lose by now. And you go on a bit of a like, oh, and then when it was 2-2, sorry, I won't jump ahead, but like, I thought it was a belting game. I really enjoyed it.
It was unreal.
Tim, Jerry Yates, continuing his rich vein of form. The first, the equaliser, it was from memory. It was a great bit of hold.
Well, I think we need to talk through Dougal's contribution to this goal. To be fair, John.
Go on then. Go on then.
In the minute time.
We would have to start with Gary Medin's hold-up play.
Exactly,
mate.
Allow that
Contribution.
He was interrupting me then mid-flow, bigging up big Gaz. As we've said, more than just a goal machine. Tim, continue.
Sold you.
Well, we had I think if I remember rightly, we had a corner, which Dougal's been much maligned for his corners, hasn't he, over the season? And but he takes a short one. I think I've got the right one, haven't I? He takes a short one with Lavery, and the ball ends up the ball ends up coming in. I've got the right way around, haven't I, between the two, and the ball drops to Connolly, who lays it off to Dougal, who crosses the ball, and Yatesy sends it back the way it's come, and it drops into the as we're facing it, the top left hand corner. Fantastic finish by Yates, I've got to say. I'm going to say more about Yates as the games goes on, so I don't want to bring it in too early. But it was a consummate finish. But I'm hopeful that even Liliana is going to have her epiphany and realise what a good player that Kenny Dougal is, and what a superb contribution he makes to the team, both from attacking and defensive perspective. Over to you, Leanne.
No, Yates, I'm totally from the Jerry Yates bus again. After last season, he was atrocious. I've now decided that was because of Mr. Body Warmer, and he's now got it with Appleton. King Appy, I love it. And I love Jerry Yates again. He's got his spark back. He's brilliant. He wasn't brilliant last season.
What about Sir Kenneth?
Average.
You're a hard woman to please,
I'm
Leanne.
trying to like him. Everyone loves him, and I'm the only one that doesn't like him, so I want to like him. But
Well, to be fair, I wouldn't say I've loved him this season. He's been average, but he has been, as Tim has banged he's playing out of position drum several times this season. I'm putting it.
you could say that about Connolly, though. Look how good he is.
Oh yeah.
I said I'm not having a go at Connolly. I think Connolly's a fantastic player,
Because he is a fantastic player, Timothy.
and a huge part of our team. But so is Ken. Listen, I just thought, for me, I've still got my views as to where he should play, but I said he's got slagged off for his corners. Quick one, and he's involved. It's his cross that comes in that Yatesy heads back the other way. And all I can say is, it was a team goal. It was a great team goal, to be fair. Medin played his part. Connolly played his part. It was fantastic. And it was great to see. Yates is just on another level at the moment. And I've got to say, he was superb yesterday.
He's back to his Pele standards.
Sorry.
Well, Tim once quite compared him to Pele. And in recent, Jerry Yates, yeah, and he's back to that level now.
Mitch, talk us through the second goal then. Superb run from Lavery. He's turned the left back inside out. It was just big up to Shane Lavery for his all-round performance, by the way. Ran tirelessly down that wing, turned their full-back in knots. He's done him. He's got past him, and he's played an absolutely sublime ball into Jerry Yates. But Jerry's still got a hell of a lot to do there, hasn't he?
Yeah, it was a beautiful finish. But as you say, Lavery, I thought was by far his best game of the season. I think it's his best game for probably about 10 months yesterday. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And I've sort of defended him a bit because he has his end product this year has been poor, but I think his work rate has been generally very good, and this year's been marked by him doing sort of one good thing, winning possession or beating someone, and then a bad thing, falling over, putting the cross behind the goal, missing, whatever. And yesterday he had a much more complete performance. He had end product to his good work, and that turn he did, or the way he skinned the play was superb. It was absolutely beautiful. And I was just waiting for him to slice it, probably unfairly, but waiting for him to then slice the cross to the corner flag. And it was a beautiful ball for Yates. And it was basically the same goal he'd scored last week, just sort of falling away and just finding the bottom corner of the net. It kind of, I haven't really watched the replay properly, but I saw the 2-minute one they bung out on YouTube. And he kind of bends it into the bottom corner, almost falling away. It's an absolutely superb finish. And when he's on that sort of form, he's absolutely fantastic. And he's everything he wasn't, even at the beginning of this year when he wasn't, Yates wasn't shooting, he wasn't gambling. And when he had that, you get the feeling that Yates 6 weeks ago would have tried to take a touch and then a defender would have got back, but not this Yates. He just smashes it first time, bottom corner, and just went absolutely mental. I think it was that goal I ran down to Tim to point out that Gary Medina played a part in the build-up.
He did.
He did.
It was all about the
Saturday.
whole place, I think.
Yeah.
He does. Mum normally flags Medina as well. Went round to Mum's to watch it because of no internet, and my mum even went, "Oh, doesn't he hold his space very well?"
Well, your mum is obviously a very wise woman. That's all I can say.
No, well, she kept saying as well, he's very good looking, isn't he? Isn't he good looking? Sat next to Paul going, no.
Tim, Jerry's finish, he makes it look very easy, that controlled side foot volley. For anyone who's played the game at any level knows how difficult it is to volley a ball, particularly off your side foot, particularly the speed it's coming in and to get it with that accuracy. Some people saying in the comments, was it McBurdle, since Bowler's left, Jerry's now become the main man. Do you think that's a factor?
Yes. I mean, it was almost like, just picking up Mitch's point, it's almost like you put a mirror down the pitch. It was almost like, to be honest, more so when I was actually at the game, it appeared like the absolute mirror of what he'd done the last game against Watford, but with the other foot. I don't think it was quite as good as the Watford goal when I've looked it back, but the technique to do it is very difficult indeed, because you've got to, when the ball comes in, you hit it on the side foot, to get the power on it that you need to from that distance to hit the back of the net is I think a slightly more difficult skill. What I will say about Jane, I'm going to say it now. He was the best by a country mile, the best player on the pitch yesterday. He looked absolute quality. Everything he did, I'm trying to think of one thing he did that wasn't good, and I can't. Even when he's chasing, he's harrying. The couple of times he got little nicks in that took balls off players. His work rate is immense, and I'm so glad that we're actually getting the finished product on the top of that, because I think his game goes up when he's a confidence player. When he knows that the manager rates him and the players trust him, and he's scoring goals and the fans are singing his song. I just think he goes up to another level, and I think Critchley didn't trust him, and he didn't believe in him, and I think Appleton does. And Appleton's played him when he's not necessarily been at the top of his game. And we're all reaping the rewards of that now. And he literally was. There was nobody to compare with him on that pitch yesterday. And it's great that we'll go to the team at top of the league and we've got the best player on the pitch. Because sometimes we had it with Bowler, didn't we? We go some places with Bowler and he was the best player on the pitch. We're the best player on the pitch yesterday. And I don't think even Sheffield United would argue with that.
Leanne, so...
the ref would, Tim.
Yeah.
The what, sorry?
Oh, sorry. The referee would.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry, John.
Leanne,
Go on.
I won't make you big because you don't like that, do you? Want to make you
Yeah.
big. Cast your mind back to talk and conversation throughout the fan base that Jerry Yates was almost a spent force, wasn't he? I think a lot of people are saying this. Maybe it's time for him to move back to League One. What a turnaround between now and then.
I was one of them.
Were you?
Yeah, definitely. I think reading a lot of the comments about Jerry, and I think we'll bang on. I honestly believe him and what's it called, that little dweeb dude now? Critchley.
Dweeb dude.
I don't think of his name for a second then. I don't think they got on. I think it all stemmed from when he was out getting drunk, didn't trust him, didn't want him playing. So when I watched him play last season, to me, his heart wasn't in it. I know he didn't get consecutive games. But to me, when you get dropped, that's your time to prove. So you come in and play well so that you don't get dropped. He wasn't doing that. He was crap last season. This season, he's come in. He's obviously gelled with Appleton. His confidence has gone back up. I agree again. Who said that then about him being a confidence player? Definitely. I feel like his head goes down and he just loses it. And this time, his confidence is good. He's playing brilliant. Can't follow him at the moment. Yeah. He's great.
Pete Stinger's just said Jerry's not getting the minutes, 10 minutes like last year when he's back on the bench and Larry's starting vice versa. Mitch, again, it's a great point, isn't it? And credit to Michael Appleton for giving him, as Michael Blackpool's just said there, Appleton deserves credit for showing faith in Jerry and also being patient. Change your name, Michael. I'll send you the form in the post. But yeah, joking aside, Appleton deserves credit for sticking with Jerry and getting his confidence back up.
Well, Appleton said very early on in one of his quite early interviews, he said, you've just got to keep, he said something like, you've got to keep Jerry bouncing. He's that sort of player that you just have to give him the minutes and sort of tell him basically what Tim said before, tell him his love, keep him bouncing, keep him going. And I thought, yeah, he gets him. You know, he's probably quite an annoying person to be stuck in a broken lift with, is Jerry Yates, but he's probably a brilliant person to have on a football team with you, because you'll just never, ever, ever stop. And that's valuable. And I think, I mean, we've been here before with him, haven't we? In the sense of when he came in League One, how long did it take him to score? 11, 12 games. It took him ages to get
it was a while, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then once he'd got off the mark, he was unbelievable. He was so good in that League One season. He really, really, really was. And I don't buy this stuff about players being a League One player or a Championship player. You know, if you can do what he did in League One and make
lower League One, lower League One.
Or even a League Two donkey, as he was on one particularly bad episode. But no, if you can make defences in League One look as stupid as Yates made them look for some of the goals he scored, then you're not just going to become instantly shit because you've stepped up a division. And you should be able to have some impact. And I think Appleton has done a fantastic job with him. And I also think he's told him to get a bit tougher and to be a bit more streetwise and to build himself up a bit and put himself about a bit more, because he's winning. Last year he won hardly any. If you remember when Sean was on a lot, and I used to do the Gary Medine aerial stats a lot with Sean, that one of the points was Yates won nothing in the air, and he's actually winning the ball in the air now. See his first goal and see quite a few moments in games where he's just brought a bit more to his game. So I think Appleton deserves every credit for what he's done with Yates.
Okay, Tim, on to the second half then. I think you can take the ball by the horns here on our third goal. Scored by none other than Kenny Dougal.
Our number 10.
What? 12,
yeah, but I think no, but he was playing the number 10 role, isn't he? Sort of like just behind the strikers.
Come on,
using the Sean McGinley.
He's the new Sully Kai.
He is.
But very fortuitous though,
well.
Tim.
It was. I mean, Patino was on the ball, wasn't he? And he was. And listen, just taking a step back a minute. For the young lad, how good is this for his football education to be involved in games like this rather than, the tippy-tappy that you're going to get in playing for Arsenal reserves? It's really going to bring him on as a player, and he played a huge part yesterday, I thought. He was instrumental in a lot of the good build-up play that we did, and he was moving forward. I think he was trying to find Yates to his right, and Sheffield United player, I don't know who, stuck his foot in to try and intercept.
Someone said it was Basham. I don't think it was.
I didn't think Basham was playing, was he?
Yeah, okay.
Was he playing?
Yeah.
I didn't see their
team
Mr.
sheet. Right at the death. Yeah, Mr. Sitter right at the death.
I'm like Mr. McHugh.
I think Chizzy called one of the goals for Gary Medine when it was Joe Yates as well. So
They did.
I should be up there in the gantry box with him, shouldn't I? With my eyesight. So the ball's going right. It gets deflected left and plays Sir Kenneth in, who finishes with a plum. He finished like Mo Salah did earlier on against City. I thought it was very, very, very assured. And
he slid and kind of slipped when he hit it as well. So whether he lost his footing just as he made contact with the ball, it was a tidy finish.
Yeah, but it was. I don't think he expects to get in that position. To be fair to him, does he? And it was a bit of a fluke. But equally, we were pressing. We were doing what we do well, and it was almost like in a slightly different way, and a little bit further up the field. It was a little bit like the goal where Thompson ended up playing in. Was it I forgot which game it was now. Was it Blackburn when he played in the Blackburn striker, didn't he? Was it Blackburn or Norwich?
It was Pookie he played in.
Yeah. So it's a little bit like that, but a little bit further forward. But listen, you got to take it, haven't you? Because sometimes the ball falls you, sometimes it doesn't. But you've still got to finish it.
You do.
CJ Hamilton. Anyway, we'll come back to that later.
Just going back to Patino for a second. An analogy I made up, Mitch, you might like this. You love an analogy, don't you?
I do.
It's like he plays football. The game he's watching and playing in, for him, it's like at 3/4 speed. You can change the speed at which you watch videos on YouTube and stuff. And it's like he's playing at 3/4 speed in his head. And he sees everything before it's happened almost. And he can react. He seems to react quicker and more decisive than the rest of the team on the pitch. He's just he's got such a great awareness of the game.
Well, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said it's a mark of a great player who's already decided what they're going to do with the ball before they've received the ball. And some of his first time passes are just sensational. It's the simple stuff he does that really impresses me. And I mean, there's a fair number of players in the game who can ping a nice crossfield pass, but it's sometimes when he just changes direction and he sort of looks almost lazy as he does it. He'll just change the direction of the play, and it's fantastic watching him. I mean, I was a bit cynical about him and all the fuss about him when we first signed him, and sort of why are we getting so overexcited about this kid who's proved nothing? But he has been absolutely tremendous, and I love his attitude as well. Tim said about his education. The way he got stuck in that game was just superb, and the way he's kind of, he was around players who were 8, 9, 10 years older than him. When we were trying to hold out at the end, sort of fist pump, exhorting him to stick with it and stuff. And it's just a delight to see. I can't remember what the question was.
No, you've just answered it anyway. So what was the game when? I'll just make me big a minute. That's not the way to do it. The game, was it Norwich and then Watford, where their players just drop in a heap on the floor, roll around, hold their heads. Referee immediately stops play every single time, but as soon as one of ours goes down, Leon Bridcut goes down, clearly poleaxed, and we'll make you big again. Poleaxed, but David Webb, can I say his name without calling him a CUNT? David Webb just waves play on, And it's as you were, because it's only little Blackpool players.
You can't remember that, can you, Liam?
I didn't know you were asking me. Sorry. I thought you were just
Yeah.
making me big to annoy me.
No.
Sorry. No. I feel I try not to slag referees off, and I do try that. It's very difficult. Sometimes that was diabolical on Saturday. I feel like I don't want to moan and say it cost us the game, because at the end of the day, a point against them was great. I was taking that for the game. It was really frustrating watching. We played. I've not seen us play that well in a long, long time. So to play that well and to have the lead, but then it was like all of a sudden we were down to 9 men. It was like he wanted them to score. The amount of corners he gave them, and it seemed when our players. I know just before Tater got sent off, one of our players was actually fouled, and he just let it go on, and then Potato got his second yellow, and it was like, I was still mad about that because he let play go on. He was really bad.
Yeah.
And I feel like do you remember when we were in the Premier League as well, and Howard Webb? Was it Howard Webb? Is his name?
Yep. Blackburn.
Yeah, he actually said Blackpool don't dive off. I think it's true. I don't even now. We get Gary Machine gets fouled a lot and nothing happens.
Tim, to move over to you a sec. As Leanne's just said, the referee lost control of that game, particularly in the second half. And the worst one for me was the 2-footer. The 2-footer, I think it was on J8.
To be honest, going back to that, it started with the one you've just been talking about, because Thompson gets booked for that because he's apoplectic about the fact that we've not stopped the game. I don't think he'd have actually got booked unless all the other players had started shoving him, to be honest. So I think it was a bit of a really... And it's important because of what comes later. But from my perspective, that yellow that he got there was undeserved. And the game should have stopped. There was clearly a head injury. It wasn't, it wasn't intentional, but the Sheffield player clipped him as they're involved in the tussle, and he's down with a head injury. He didn't get up. I mean, at what point do you say, "Fucking hell, stop the game"? You're meant to stop the game for head injuries, and he didn't. And I think from that point onwards, and we'll go on to the one you're talking about. From that point onwards, he'd lost control, and there was just a series of bad decisions, all at different points from that point onwards. But obviously, bearing in mind, obviously, what subsequently happens to Thompson, that was a very, that was quite an important, in the context of the game, a quite important decision that was made, because obviously that resulted subsequently in Thompson getting sent off. And I don't think Thompson deserved that yellow. I don't think we could ever have any arguments about what happened with Epiteta. But from the point of view of Thompson, that he should never have got a yellow for that, because it was quite rightly remonstrated, and it was only when the Sheffield players got involved and started pushing him about that things got a little bit out of hand. And but I don't think he never raised his hands or anything. He was just quite understandably irate that the game hadn't been stopped.
Well, like me,
he was. I don't think he should have done it, but at the same time,
no. Listen, I'm not disputing that he shouldn't have done what he did to get sent off. What I'm saying was, if he wasn't on a yellow already, he wouldn't have been sent off. He got the yellow. Yeah. He got the yellow when.
But do you not think a decent ref would have thought, right, he's already on a yellow, I'll let this go? Because you do get decent refs where you sometimes think, oh God, they're going to get sent off, or oh God, they're going to get booked, and they don't. They can see them have a quick word, and they calm it. Whereas this one, he was just like, yeah, let's get Blackpool. That was
he wasn't helped by the linesman, who did absolutely nothing. And there was at least 2 tackles. I mean, we were stood in similar places, Tim. The foul on Yates was vile. It was a horrible challenge right in front of the linesman. I think that was one you were referring to, the 2-footer, John.
Yeah.
That was
He should have gone for that.
That could have ended season, and it's a joke when Thompson's getting sent off for something that for two things that have caused nobody any harm. I mean, yeah, it is daft from Thompson, but at the same time, that there were at least two tackles right in front of me that were basically assaults. There was one on Thompson. There was a really nasty one on Patino as well, and I'm sure. Yates, a really nasty one on Patino. I'm sure there was another one. And he just wasn't interested. And when Bridcut went down, the linesman was watching it, doing absolutely nothing. And Maxwell went over to him and was just shouting, "What are you for? Like, this is your job. Why aren't you stopping the game?" And between them, they weren't interested. They were crap, absolutely crap.
The linesman was. I can tell that the referee was annoyed at the linesman as well when he gave. It was right at the end, and he gave Blackpool something instead of them. I can't even remember now what it was. But it just went in Blackpool's way instead. It was like the last few minutes, and I thought, the referee will be gutted about that. He was proper. It was just like he just wanted us to lose. I don't know what it was. He hated us.
The guy is actually from Lancashire. I'd be interested to see if he's from the Preston area.
He's a knob, isn't he?
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's not quite true. I think he's actually from the northeast. That was going around that he might be, but actually, I think he's never refereed a Newcastle, Sunderland, or Middlesbrough game because there's two bits of information that one says he's from Lancashire, the other said he's from the northeast, and he's actually never refereed a northeast game. So maybe that's
just rewind. Let's just rewind slightly to Mitch to Ekpateta's sending off. Clearly it was. I've got no argument or qualms with the sending off there, but I just thought it was a bit naive from Marv to put that tackle in, considering Thornley was there, he was covering him. I'd have liked the tackle he's put in had Thornley not been there, but I didn't think he needed to do it. Maybe not, but it's what Marv does, isn't it? He would be a Premier League player if he didn't have to rely on that recovery tackle so often. It's what he does, and he's absolutely superb at it. How many tackles has he made for us where he looks like he's getting beaten and then he slides in with them telescopic legs and you think, oh no, and he comes out with the ball.
Yeah.
He must have made that same tackle 400, 500, 600 times for us in a Blackpool shirt. He does it 2, 3, 4 times a game, and we all sing his name. And then the one time he doesn't get it right, that's what happens, and then we all call him stupid. But that's what he does. It's his game. It was really badly timed, and you could see it coming from about 3 seconds before it happened. And I have no arguments because actually, if I'm being fair, the tackle he got booked for it wasn't a malicious tackle, but it was a horrifically timed tackle that could have broke their player's ankle, to be honest. So I've no real complaints. I've no complaints at all.
The ref played on, didn't he? And then went back and gave him the booking, didn't he? So
yeah. So we talk about football fans saying we're blinkered, but I think every Blackpool fan who's seen that game today, no qualms whatsoever with the referee's decision there. It was a red card and it was correct, but
no problem.
The Thompson one, the fact is just their player has almost assaulted Thompson by nearly injuring him, slamming him into the boards. All right, Thompson, but he shouldn't have done it. But he's just taps the ball at their player at his legs. It's not, what were people saying? It was what was it for? Dissent. Well,
I don't.
It's not dissent, is it? It's just flicking the ball at another football player's legs. Is that really?
I think it was
really
actually
the same?
The
is that really the same as a 2-footed leg breaker that their lad did on Jerry Yates?
Well, there's been this pile on Tomo, and he had a poor game, very poor. I'm not sure. It was a poor game at least. He didn't play well. I'm not going to defend him saying he played well, and he's not played well in a number of games this year. However, I think the pile on saying Thompson's an idiot, he should never wear our shirt again. I think there's two things here. Number one, I defy anybody to be at their workplace and for somebody to come in and charge you into a wall and then to not get up and react to that in some way. I don't care if you're a footballer or not. it's going to shake you up. And it's not like he got up and grabbed the guy by the throat and spat on him or something. He kicked the ball back at him. The lad then ran after him and grabbed him. And Tomo's still trying to shrug him off and walk away. And then when the ref comes over, the ref sends Tomo off, not the lad who's just as effectively assaulted him twice. And the second thing is, there's this massive irony that everyone's going, "Oh, get Hubby back in," which I would do. I would play Hubby every day of every week. I would totally play Hubby. But there's a certain irony. Get Hubby back in. We can rely on him. It's not like Jimbo's never thrown a dicey tackle or get sent off, is it? For God's sake,
Southend
He
away.
hated when he got sent off, wasn't he, for those couple of games?
Yeah, the two
And
games
he's
in a
injured.
row.
And he's injured.
Yeah,
He's belted. I miss Hubby. I agree. I'd have Hubby back tomorrow.
but I don't know. I don't like seeing Thompson getting absolutely ripped to bits because he got sent off. Because the lad tries his arse off. He might not be the greatest number 3
He's young
we've
as
ever
well,
had.
isn't he?
Yeah, he's young, and like if Hubby now is this experienced elder statesman figure, well, he's got there through making stupid decisions and losing his rag a few times, and then you don't do that, and that's what hopefully Tomo will do from this one. He's learned that actually you can't kick the ball back at a player or react and scream in the ref's face when it doesn't go your way. You learn.
Appleton actually said that, Mitch, what you've just said in his post-match. He said, these things happen. It's just take it away as a learning experience. But I'll have a word with him anyway because Dom Thompson, what's he's Tomo is actually our Tangerine teammate next season for Polton FC. So I'll have a word with him anyway.
Me and Kelly actually had a word with him a couple of weeks ago after he had a bad game, and we're like, right, you can't do that again. You were terrible. And we thought he'd listen, but he clearly didn't. So we're going to have another word as well. Kids.
Yeah, let's not dig him out anyway. Live and learn. So
No,
there's so many other
I won't
incidents.
slag him because I just think he's a young lad, isn't he? And he's not all bad. I've seen worse at Bloomfield Road, a lot worse. He's still learning. And Hubby was the same when he came. He got sent off, like you said, 2 games in a row, silly things. And he's not done it since. And I'm a big Hubby fan. So I think, Thompson, you live and learn, don't you?
You do, yeah. Okay, so we've got quite a few more incidents, obviously, until the game ended. Williams and CJ came on. Obviously, we needed Williams back on. CJ on, we'll come to that. Disallowed Sheffield United goal.
Can I make an observation about the substitutions?
No.
I said it at the time. I wouldn't have taken Medina off. And
I wouldn't either, Tim. I wouldn't have either. You need
because
that battering ram in
we
there.
knew we were going to get loads of crosses coming in, and we knew we were going to get loads of corners against us, and we needed him in there.
I can see the logic in it, though, Tim.
Yeah,
I can see the logic in it because I think the problem you've got if you've got Gazan, when you're down to 9, you have to be able to go back. You have to be able to literally go to 2 banks of 4, and you cannot expect Gaz to get up and down at the pace of CJ. If we're going to have any threat,
Play him centre half.
Yeah.
Play him centre half.
Yeah. Maybe play him at centre half. Yeah. Okay, I hadn't thought of that.
I wouldn't have brought Williams on.
So we were now playing Medina ahead of Williams. He's really fallen.
I put Medina in defence just to see how he gets on.
Well, I half thought he was going to do that when the first sending off happened, but he put Dougal, didn't he, in centre half?
Willie the Knobber. Sorry, that comment made me laugh.
Willie the Knobber back is a tragedy. No one can get. He's going to be playing, isn't he? He's going to be playing.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily because
right. Okay, guys, let's get the conversation back on track because we're nearly on an hour. The penalty, David Webb's penalty, David Webb's attempt to get Sheffield United back up on his acca, which he clearly had.
Failed.
I was swearing like I've never sworn in a long time when that penalty was awarded. Tim, what was it like in the away end?
See, I didn't really notice it because I was focused on Maxwell, and the ball comes in, doesn't it? Maxwell sort of punches it or palms it away, and one of their attackers gets floored in the box, and And when you look at the replay,
I want someone call it flawed, Tim. I wouldn't say anyone got flawed in the box. He fell
well, no,
over.
he did. He went down.
He didn't. He didn't get flawed. He didn't get flawed. He fell over.
But I mean, the argument seems to be that Jerry's sort of like yanked him in some way, and but it was a bit soft, wasn't it? That was my view.
The fact that not one of their players appealed said it all.
Yeah. I've looked it back. I can't see what Jerry does, and I'm not saying he doesn't do anything. All I've said, one of the guys said, somebody actually spotted it in the stand and said that's a clear cut penalty. But I said all I can say is I was focused on Maxwell. Maxwell's punching it away, and all of a sudden he's pointing the spot, and I'm going, "What the fuck? You know, why is that happening?" And I can't on the replays. I've not seen anything that convinces me that that's a penalty.
I was in an R.
I'm the same as Tim. I couldn't see what it's for in the game. My lad was going, "What's happening? What's happening?" And I was going, "It's a penalty." And he was going, "Why?" And I was going, "I don't know." And then when I've watched it back, I still don't really know why it was a penalty. It just looked like the players are running back, and there looks like to be daylight between Yates and the lad that goes down. And you can't see sort of. You can normally see a change of shape or intent in a player's body when they go to trip or impede, and Yates just looks like he's just sort of tracking the guy back, and the guy just jackknifes and falls over in a way that looks really quite deliberate. I couldn't believe it. In fact, it was about the third time I watched it back on the replay that I actually noticed what it was for. It was a baffling decision.
But justice was done. Brewster's stepped up, and one of those silly little run-ups that seems to be on trend at the moment. He smashed it against the post, and it's thankfully gone out for I think it went out for a goal kick or corner throw in. But ironically,
goal, didn't it?
Yeah. Ironically, Connolly's handball that was as blatant as you like. So shortly after that, the referee's not given that.
The referee will have been crying in his dressing room when he saw that play back, that he didn't give them another penalty. He would have been gutted with himself. Because that was a penalty.
Yeah, it was. Do you think he's...
No, he couldn't help it, but there's that to me was a pen.
Yeah. 80 minutes of injury time, Mitch, and Chris Maxwell has made some unbelievable saves in that period.
Yeah, he did.
I don't really want to relive it, John, having lived it and then rewritten it. I don't really want to relive it, but Maxi was unreal. There was one away to his left. This might have been actually earlier, but there's one away to his left where he just flung himself. That was absolutely superb. There was one he tipped over the top from close range that was just sensational. And then there was one where all I can describe is he was kind of like, it was like he folded himself up and palmed it kind of up from nowhere. It was like one that was in, and he's got this real ability, Maxwell, of managing to claw a ball out that looks like it's going to be in. Tim's looking like he wants to jump.
Well, it's for those of a certain vintage, it's 1970 revisited, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's England versus Brazil, and it's almost it literally is a Gordon Banks-esque save, the one you're describing there. It was absolutely incredible.
And he just kept pulling him out, and you just kept thinking we're gonna do it. You know, that's why I don't want to revisit it, because it puts me back into that state of mind where I think we're going to win this game 3-2, and I think that Maxwell's going to pull out one of the greatest goalkeeping performances of all time, and we're going to come away with one of the all-time great away wins that we've probably ever had in any of our lifetimes. And I'm feeling optimistic again. But
it was the worst 8 minutes ever.
It felt like it was
watching it.
I did my normal tactic of going for a piss to try and run the clock down, and it didn't work. I was like, I felt, oh no, that's 4 minutes gone. When I came back into the room,
I do think he gave at least 2 of those corners he gave weren't corners to them. I think he's just giving corners.
Yeah.
He was just giving them corners.
Corner. Corner.
Come on, lads, score. I've got you on my hacky. Score, come on. And he just kept giving them bloody corners. It was awful that last 8 minutes.
It reminded me of
Awful.
Blackburn. It reminded me of Blackburn away when we got a stone wall corner, and it was another Webb, Howard Webb. Do you remember? They got we got a corner, and he's given them a goal kick. It's right in front of me. I was like, yes, we've won the game, and I was like that again against Sheffield United. I was like, yes, that's a goal kick. We've won the game. But he's given them that corner, hasn't he? Floated in. McBurney's assaulted Maxwell. Put him on his arse, shoulder charged him over. 3 of their guys in offside positions, blocking Maxwell, who's struggling to get back up his feet. Unbelievably, he gets near the shot and Norwood's drilled it in. Fair play to Norwood. It was a decent volley, controlled, but so many things were wrong with that goal.
It was horrible.
It literally, you're convinced if any other, if we were playing the team, and we did that, there's not a chance that would stand as a goal, is there? On every single level, there isn't a chance. And you know, it was to be fair, it was a great strike, but there was at least 3 players in Maxwell's eye line when that ball comes through the melee of players. And putting aside the foul on him in the build-up, even if the ref misses that, how he and the linesman miss the fact there's 3 players is standing in offside position in that goal. I think with the benefit of hindsight, I think because they already disallowed the previous goal that was scored for offside, I don't
they were
think
shitting themselves at the fans' reaction, weren't they?
No, bollocks. Not when you can send that many players off. That referee didn't care. And
No,
if
no,
I
but
was
the point being is that
fans' reaction.
Home fans'
Cared
reaction.
about the home fans.
No, I know what you meant. If I was a ref, I wouldn't care about the reaction of people. I'd be there to do my job.
Yeah, but Leanne, he was a weak, biased posse of a man.
That's polite. I think he was a see you next Tuesday. An absolute one. He's one of the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's ever
But
for me.
he's
I cannot remember a worse referee.
You could have said the same though about Blackpool. Oh yeah, we've sent a player off. Oh no, I better not send another off. He just was a dick.
He was determined. He was determined for them to get a goal.
I just loved Mitch, your blog, by the way. I read it at like 6 o'clock this morning and I couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny. You can smile when I compliment you, by the way. You don't have to look dead miserable.
Yeah, I don't take praise very well.
He was waiting for the Bob comment at the end.
God.
I was waiting for a
That's That's very kind.
No, honestly, it was
Leanne. Well, you can almost try and finish in his book now if you love his blog so much, can't you?
I'm gonna finish it, I promise. I've just not had a chance to read anything. I am going to do it in the next 2 weeks.
I'll put it on the next advert.
Let's move on to CJ nearly winning it for us. And then imagine if this would have gone in. I think I might have had a heart attack watching it. But why he's making the decision to cut back?
Great run.
For me, it wasn't.
Idiot, that's why.
Why is he cut back? He's got an open run on a diagonal to the goal. Run on. Open your body up, and you're slotting it in the corner with your side foot.
But it's CJ. When does CJ?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Silly me.
Any other player?
What's happened to CJ? But he used to be so good. He's got the pace, hasn't he?
Imagine the scenes in the way end if that had gone in.
I think we would all have had the proverbial heart attacks then, I think. But it was a great chance. It was a fantastic chance. He's clean through. Why the hell you would check your run and turn inside and think that's going to be a better decision than just pulling the trigger is like, what the fuck? Why would you do it? It defies logic.
Say someone had been running with him and he hadn't looked and he'd have carried on and missed, everyone would have been giving him shit.
Yeah, but there's nobody with him anyway. He was
Right was with him.
Right was with him. I didn't know Wright was with him.
Oh, I didn't know.
It was made by Jerry again, though. I mean, we can beat up CJ yet again, but credit to Jerry because Jerry had. I was worried about Jerry in the last few minutes because he was hobbling. You know, when he looks like He gets a bit like Brett. He gets a bit step-toed, doesn't he, when he's sort of walking with his bowed legs when he's knackered. And he made that. I can't remember if he won a tackle or whatever, but he just ran, and it looked like it was physically agony for him. And he beat someone, and the whole crowd was, "Go on, Jerry! Go on, Jerry!" And then he knocked it to CJ, and I thought it was a beautiful pass for a man who had probably run about 14 miles by that point. And he was at one point, it looked like Jerry was playing left back, and I think
It was
unbelievable, that performance, and unbelievable that is how good Jerry Yates is, that with 9 men on the pitch, that's how good he is at the moment, with 9 men on the pitch playing
for 9 men to carve out that chance is just incredible. Given they're on the front foot now, they've got the whole crowd behind them. They've just scored. For us to carve out that chance is just full
CJ,
credit to the players.
You get that position against CJ, smash the fucker. That's what he had to do. He had to hit the target.
No, I'm not. I'm saying he should have curled it, opened his body up and curled it into the far corner. That's what I'd have done. That's what I'd have done. I'd just smashed it.
I've seen you walking football.
Right. So obviously the match is finished. Let's try and rattle through this. Appleton's clearly not happy with the officials. Mitch, going back to your blog, great to see him wading in. And to quote MCLF, the body warmer twat would have run a mile.
Indeed he would. No, it's what you want, isn't it? Well, it's what you want. Critchley would have been going Critchley would have probably been apologising.
He'd have come over to the fans and clapped them and then ran off.
No, he'd have done that. He'd have done that.
Yeah, shaped emoji. He's got a few tears in his eyes that he wiped away. And Appleton's out there for a bloody scrap. And I think, no, I saw on the way back, I saw one of our other panelists in the service station, saw Raggy in the service station, and he said, and I thought it was a really good point, he said that will do the team in this bunch no end of good. The fact they've all gone in for a massive scrap together, and the manager's gone in for the scrap with them pretty much, that's going to do them absolutely no end of good in terms of team bonding and knowing they've got each other's backs and kind of knowing the manager's got the back as well, because what more can you actually do to literally fight for each other? So yeah, I mean, it's not like you go to the ground going, I hope the manager's going to kick off and knock some of that. But
yeah.
Mass brawl.
Yeah,
were you still in the ground at the time?
Yes, I was. I mean, obviously, from where we were, because it was at the end of the pitch, it was difficult to see. I mean, I've watched it back since, and obviously, at some point, their goalkeeper wrestles Lavery to the ground, and then he's on top of him. Now, whether Lavery did anything before that, I don't think anybody can see either on the video or will know. But I don't know how Lavery gets himself sent off when he's been wrestled to the ground, and if he is defending himself while some 6'4" keepers trying to kick the shit out of him, I like to think that that's going to be reversed, but I don't think we actually. I think Mitchell, correct me if he knew any different, but the initial view was their keeper had been sent off, and not most of us didn't realise Lavery had, and then the news started to filter around. Obviously, as the notifications hit the apps and everything, that Lavery's gone as well, and and it'd be really, really disappointing if that's upheld. I assume we're going to appeal, because that was Lavery's best game in the Blackpool shirt, as Mitch said, for at least 10 months. And last thing you need now with him is with an enforced three-game layoff.
I think we will appeal. We've got to appeal, but as ever, the EFL, the little rats that they are, and the referees alliance, they all just close ranks, don't they, in these situations?
I think you've got a better chance in the Premier League, actually. Premier League, I think you've got a better chance, but in the EFL, I think you're right, John. I think the EFL, the spineless bastards at the end of the day, aren't they? We've been there and bought the T-shirt with that.
So Lavery's looking likely to miss Preston game 3-game ban. Thompson and Marv 1-game ban, so they're going to miss the whole game. The the reactions from the media. Obviously, we've talked about what the EFL can do, but the EFL highlight show on ITV Channel 4. I don't know if anyone saw it. Didn't even discuss the referee's performance. Just discuss the game as if nothing else had happened.
All I can say is I've got to say I thought he had quite a good first half. I don't think we had too much to complain about his first half performance, but the second half it was almost like it appeared to me to be one of the most biased refereeing performances you're ever going to see. Because I don't think he gave us one decision at all in the whole of that half. Every single 50-50 went their way. As I said to before, I think. And it's all right saying, well, it's a corner, but there was literally about 10 consecutive corners at the end. And sometimes, if one or two had broken our way, then it changes the whole pattern of the game. And all of a sudden you've got possession and you can start trying to, but it was a corner. And I think at least two of those weren't in that segment of corners. And, Then you take the goal with the two decisions. Then you take the soft penalty, and the sending off of Thompson. Not particularly sending off, but the first yellow card on Thompson, I thought was a shocking decision. It starts to add up, and it becomes a little bit unpalatable to accept. That's putting it mildly.
But referees aside, then, and let's take the referee out of that equation and how the game played out. What a great performance by the boys. 3-3 to go to the team top of the league. Would have all have taken a point beforehand, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I was certainly taking a point at 2-0 down when I was thinking that it was going to be 4 or 5-0. And I think on top of what Tim's just said, which was eloquently put, and I agree with him, there was also the sense that really up until, when did Marvin get sent off? It was about 78, 79 minutes or something. Yeah. For the whole of that second half, we really, really were playing well. I thought when we scored, I thought, that strange logic of, we've scored a bit early, we've gone ahead a bit early, this is going to put pressure on. But actually, we held them off really, really quite well, played really well, made some of our own chances, and looked every bit as good as them, if not better. And it's only the last sort of whatever it was, 15 minutes with 9 men that kind of misshapes the view of the way the game was. Actually, while it was 11 versus 11, we were probably the better side against the top of the league. So it was an absolutely outstanding performance, and the heart and the bravery of the defensive performance in that last 20 minutes was amazing too.
Yeah, well surmised.
And 11 against 11, they didn't have 25 corners.
No.
Player, what we're going to do? So player ratings. Let's fire through these. What are we on? Hour 15. Right. Let's go for Chris Maxwell first. Leanne.
8.
Harsh.
Really well.
Harsh. Come on.
No, I'm sorry. Right. This is why we always disagree. Right. To me, 9 and 10 is like fucking FA Cup final, Championship, playoff final status. It was an 8. 8's as high as you're ever going to probably get from me.
Yo, it's a 9. Anybody's assessment.
You're a hard woman to please, Leon.
3 goals in. 8's good for me, especially for bloody Maxwell.
Yeah, I know, but you need to get this. You need to get in the zone. He's a 9 on anybody's performance.
FPRS it 8+.
8+.
8+.
Right.
I'll give him a 7 and carry on.
Callum Connolly, Mitch.
7.
Jordan Thornley, Tim. Got to be up there for man of the match for me.
I think it's a 9, as was Maxwell. I thought. Listen, I think I love Jordan, and he got some great challenges in that game, and he's like I think there was a thread in ABFTT talking about unsung heroes, and to be fair, I'm not quite sure he's as unsung as he has been in the past, but I think he's more than worthy of a start in any game when he's fit at the moment. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, Leanne, guess who you've got? Tom Thompson.
4.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I can't argue. I can't argue with that.
I would argue with it only from the point of view is.
Well, Tim.
Oh, go on.
When you're arguing because it's me, if it was John, you'd be like, yeah, John, yeah.
Yeah, but not 4. Listen, we've just watched one of the best away games.
It wasn't very good.
No, listen. Yeah.
No, I agree with Leanne, Tim.
I do. I don't think
he's had a
I've just had a monologue defending him, but I don't think he played very well. I don't think we need to rip him up and say he's evil and we hate him, but he didn't play very well. He was all over the place.
I like him. But he didn't. That's why I wouldn't give anyone over an 8. Yes, we played great. It's one of the best games I've seen in a long time. However, it wasn't Forest away in the playoff final, was it? That was all a 10. This is why I feel like I'm quite good with my scoring system.
Yeah, Leanne. Michael Blackpool said Sean gave him a 2, I think.
There we go then.
And A-Max
So
just said
4's
Tom
quite
Folding.
reasonable.
Tom Folding wants to give everyone 10s.
Just let him give dudes.
Hey, Tim,
That's your new name.
When Tim and I went to the lake,
I'll get me that name, by the way.
There was a folding lane, wasn't there? We were sat having a drink.
Tom Folding, I love it.
That's what I've called that. Twat that he is. He was quite funny with doing names. Liam Bridcut, Mitch.
Yeah, I thought he started quite poorly, but then I thought he was brilliant as the game went on. I thought he was a bit dicey with his passing early on, looked a bit off the pace, as he probably would do if he hadn't really started a game for a year or whatever he hasn't started a game for. But then I thought he was brilliant as the game grew on, and I really, really like him. And I think he's bringing to us what we've missed since Stuart finally folded into the big soggy mess of Weetabix left out in the rain that he is, or whatever he's made of. 8-.
The use of the FPRS system, and the man himself, is he going to use the FPRS system on Charlie Tino?
I would say he's not in the top 3 players from yesterday.
There was a few misplaced passes as well, and perhaps questionable for their first.
Yeah, well, I think probably because it's the nature of the player is. I don't think he closed down well on particularly well on that first goal. I think where there's a couple of other players, Dougal in particular, who went right in on opposition when they needed to, and I don't think he does that. But that's not his game. But I think it was a good performance. All that said, I'm going 8+.
Kenny, is it Kenny Dougal? Yeah, Leon, Kenny Dougal.
Oh,
this has worked well, hasn't it?
I'm joking. 6.
Oh,
6! You're having a laugh.
Maxwell played better. I know the different positions in that, but
6.
You just give Bridcut an 8. I've given him a 6 as well.
6. Jesus.
Yeah.
Whatever, she'll do what she wants.
Just turn it upside down in your mind, Tim, and just call it that.
You do that, Tim.
He was a 9. Here I am.
Unfortunately, Tim, this is how it works. So, Shane Lavery, Mitch, this has got to be a high score.
Oh, Lavery, I thought he played really well. 9 seems about right for Lavery. I thought he was tremendous. Very little he did wrong, and he just kept going and going and going. And there was skill there was energy. That snap was back to his game that's been missing. I thought he was fantastic, and long may continue. So yeah, I'll go with 9 for Lavs.
You've got big Gaz, Tim. More than just a goal machine.
Definitely more than a goal machine. As I said, I wouldn't have taken him off and I kept him on. I thought he'd led the line well. Again, as I said before, there's probably 2 or 3 players ahead of him in the plaudits, but it was a good 8+ from me.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And to round this off, you've got Jezza, a brace of braces, Jerry Yates. Surely he's impressed you, Leanne. Surely.
Jerry's getting a 9 because he was my best player on the pitch. That's what I mean, right? Can you understand now how I score? So I'm not being mean. A 6 is decent. It's better than half. But yeah,
but Dougal's one of the best 3 players on the pitch, and he's got 6.
Right. Kenny played well yesterday, right? I've seen him play worse. I've seen him play better. So 6 is decent.
Somebody said in the chat, it was his best game of the season.
But it's a 6. Maxwell was better. My scoring's harsh. If they get a 10, it's like FA Cup final, Forest away. DJ Campbell would have had a 10. Can you understand now? None of them were that.
We were playing top of the league away from home, and we
got point.
But for the ref, would have. Well,
I know.
So the 98th minute, we were winning away from home against top of the league.
Right, so Jerry gets a 9 because he was absolutely outstandingly amazing. So how does Kenny Dougal get an 8? He wasn't that far behind him. He was like quite a lot behind him. As was Patino. He'd have got a 6.
Right, children, enough. Man of the match.
Jerry Yates.
Mitch.
Jezza.
Timbo.
As I said before, best player of the pitch by a country mile, Jerry.
Jerry Yates for me as well. A brace of braces. As you just said, what a performance from Jezza, and long may it continue. Right, before we head off, we've got Hull on Wednesday night. Are we going to even have a team out?
With Williams.
With Williams. He did all right when he came on. I'd have
done all right if I'd have gone on with 9 men.
Let's pick a team, shall we?
Let's
football team pick her up.
I think Connolly might play centre back.
I think we should put Connolly in goal.
Can we find a right back to play right back if Connolly's playing centre back though?
Let's get this view up. Get a bit more of the screen. Who's going in that?
He's going to start Maxwell, isn't he?
This is what we want, Leanne. It's our preferred team.
Maxi for me.
You're not going to change your keeper after that performance on Saturday.
No, true.
I know what Leanne's saying.
Listen, you could pick either of them. They're both going to do a great job, aren't they?
Maxwell has been some of those saves. You can't drop him after. Sorry, Leanne. You can't drop Maxwell.
No, I agree. I do agree with you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an even more inexperienced defence, so you can't drop Maxwell.
Well, you can't play Maxwell against Preston.
Why not?
No.
Well, he played when we beat him last year.
Right, centre halves. Ekpateta's missing, obviously. Williams is the obvious choice, isn't he?
Well, just do what we know first. Get Judd in there first, because he's the only.
Why's called Judd, by the way? I was going to.
That's what Appy calls him. That's what Appleton calls him. Judd.
Does he? Judd.
Yeah, Judd.
Who?
Why?
It's an abbreviation of Jordan. We seen Kez.
Is it like Jan? Is this like the same Jan?
Judd Nelson. Judd Nelson.
Yeah.
That's the.
You seen Kez?
No. I know what it is.
I think we could potentially leave Williams out.
All right, who then, Leanne? Who's going centre half with Thornley then?
So Ekpateta is banned in it. Oh God, would you bring Garbett back?
Gabriel injured.
Garbett's going to play left back.
Gabriel still out?
Gabriel's still out.
I'd bring Garbett back.
I
would. It's a free hit. Mitch.
Where are we picking now? Centre back or left back?
Well, you're outnumbered, so it's 3-1. Even if you say Thompson.
His husband's still out.
Thompson's suspended, so it's whoever's fit, isn't it?
Fix itself. Fix itself. Williams has got to go in.
Assuming Hubby's not fit.
All right.
Right, we can do it without Williams.
Connolly's going right back, isn't he?
The only way you can not pick Williams is to pick Jack Moore at right back, or putting a player out of say Dougal at right back.
No, Big Gaz is going to centre half.
Well, who do you play up front then?
We've got a few more options. It's got to be Williams, hasn't it? It's got to be. No choice.
We could put Big Gaz there and you and Banjo up front.
Right, midfield.
Does it not pick itself from Saturday?
Well, you see, I would be sorely tempted. Now, you're not going to like this, Tim. I would be sorely tempted to go with the.
I'd bring Carey back personally.
Well, no, I'd bring Wright back in. So I'd probably go. In fact, no, there's no reason for you not to like this, Tim. I'd actually go with. No, yes, you would. I'd go Bridcut.
Bridcut's not even on there.
Wright and Patino, which is the harshest thing I've ever done in my life, and Kenny doesn't deserve to get dropped. I have half a feeling that you could you play Kenny at right back and not play Williams?
Well, no, I would then put Conley centre back.
Yeah, put Conley centre back. Play Kenny right back.
I'm sorry, guys, but Bridcut can't go in because I've not added him to the list.
Schoolboy error.
I'm putting Carey in. Leanne, come on, you're backing me up, aren't we? Carey anyway.
Carey in if you can't put Bridcut in.
Yeah. Dougal's playing for me. Dougal's no way.
Dougal's in the crowd in the North Star.
Yeah, but I actually think you could play Conley centre back and play Dougal right back.
No.
Why not? Why not?
I'd rather have that than Williams at centre back.
Patino, he's playing, isn't he?
I'd probably keep it the same if I'm honest.
Right, are we agreed Dougal's
Would you not
starting?
keep it the same?
We can't. Got 2 players suspended.
Yeah, defenders. I'm on about midfield.
Midfield, she means.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to interfere with the midfield too much, to be fair.
Dougs is starting if Bridcut's not an option, Jam.
Hang on a minute. Right, you lot pick the I'll just do this live.
Well, again,
you lot pick the strikers and I'll try and get it updated quick.
Well, Jerry's starting.
Medine.
I think Medine.
Yeah, Yates and Medina's was, and then it's probably going to be Corbin if Lavery's suspended, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't. Are we going to find out if his appeal's successful by Wednesday?
Yeah, it's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen.
No.
I don't know. Well, I've not seen what he's actually done. It depends what the ref says he's seen him do.
Oh, that's the point. Pavida, would you start him instead of Corbin and bring Corbin in one as a sub? I think he plays better.
That's a good shout.
I think it is. Well done, Peter Dixon.
That's a good shout.
I'd start Corbin ahead of Pavida myself because I think I would, because I think Pavada's more, to me,
impact.
Pavada's started well every time he's played and then faded. His influence seems to wane after about 25 minutes, which you could say the same. You could say the same of Theo, but I think Corbin, who's got a bit more physical presence about him.
Could you also say Corbin, who's done better when he's come on as sub?
Yeah.
Well, they both have, haven't they? Somebody said the other week on, I can't remember, AVFT or Twitter, is the problem with our strikers is they're all better coming on for the last half an hour.
Apart from Big Gaz.
Well, even Gaz is. I love it when Gaz comes on with that half an hour and he looks pissed off that he hasn't been picked and he just sort of throws himself around. You know.
What we're doing with this midfield then?
Well, we're putting Patino in, aren't we? We're putting Patino in. We know that. So let's get that in.
And reality is Birdcut's playing, isn't he, as well? That's what he's not going to drop him after the way he played yesterday. And so I think that means goes sub, unless he moves Dougal. 2
CDMs though, Tim. I don't like Dougal and Bridcut in the same team.
I don't like
when we're at home.
Not at home.
Yeah, not at home.
Yeah, but Dougal didn't play.
It's got to be right.
Dougal didn't play as a defensive midfielder at home.
No, he didn't play as a central defensive midfielder. But there's no doubt. I think he put him in there because of those more all-round qualities that he was going to have against. Because he did do some Kenny Dougal type things as well as also he played fantastically. I would have given him a 9+ for it. I thought he played fantastically. It's just a formation that I don't like. I don't like having the 2 defensive midfielders at home.
I don't. No.
It just feels like everything we did against Watford was based on having those 2, based on having those 5 out and out attacking players, and we played superbly against Watford. And I think we need to get at Hull and we need to beat Hull, not set into to hold Hull. I'm not asked whether we play Dougal or Bridcut. I could toss a coin for which one we play, but I really want to play Patino and probably Wright.
Yeah, that's me. Tim, Leanne?
But I'm willing to.
I play right as well.
Yeah, 3. Tim, you overruled.
To be fair,
I personally
love
take
right.
Google out for Bridcut, but
Yeah, but
I
Bridcut's
thought it was
is
great.
Bridcut. Can Bridcut play all these games? Given he's not, he's not had a full season, has he?
It's a very good point. And do we want Bridcut for P&E? We want Bridcut for P&E, don't we? So stick Kenny in
right.
there.
We've got Kenny in there, and Wright's going in as well. That's the team that's going to beat Hull, anyway, ladies and gentlemen. Right, I think we're going to call it a night, gents and lady. We are on an hour and a half. Had to be this long because there was so much to talk about in the Battle of Bramall Lane. And David Webb, everybody, remember that name. So, we're going to do a reaction show after the Hull game and a preview of the upcoming Nobbers game. We'll maybe get Tom on again. Tim, you're sampling hospitality on Wednesday as well, aren't you? I am, thanks to BBE Law.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to BBE Law, yeah. So I'll shut you all down.
Are you in the main bit or your own bit?
Tim's own box. And as the music's playing out, we have to say goodbye. Thanks for joining, everybody. Like, subscribe, all that bollocks. And as we said, thanks for watching. Thanks for loading up the pool.
Up the pool.
Up the pool.